Yo, yo, yo! What time is it, you sexy mother hubbards? It's time for an alternative paper review. First up to the Times. Labour will promise big expansion of childcare. Well, that's good, isn't it? That's a step in the right direction. I don't know how much you know about me and the various things I've ranted about, but I'm something of an advocate of expanding socialised childcare. It says nursery places in primaries to be offered, which is, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Go Starmer, go Rayner. This is thinking outside the box, and it is somewhat refreshing from where I thought the nursery and education systems were headed, which is, loosely how a few years ago the police force was diluted to community support officers. People who largely did the same job as the actual thing, but they were just paid a lot less. Then away from crime and, law and order into education. Do you remember a few years ago you had teachers and then you had teaching assistants, and they kind of did the same job, it's just they got paid a lot less. Well, I was sort of assuming that in the same way that prisons are now largely run by the prisoners, you would start to see educational institutions largely run by the pupils. Head boy, head girl, a part-time librarian, all of them having to double as a sort of stand-in maths teacher. Would they have the qualifications to take you through complex algebra? I don't know. But frankly, if they can just dance around and dodge the falling rack concrete, that's all that we care about. Of course, for those of you who don't know, the UK has some of the most expensive childcare in the developed world. In other countries, you just get it free, because they understand that if they free up parents, the parents go back into the workforce, earn money, it's taxed, plus they spend their disposable income down the high street, the economy benefits, the GDP grows. It really just does seem like it's over in the US and the UK where we show the evidence to the decision makers and go, wouldn't that make sense to socialise childcare? And they're like, well, yes, I mean, if you want to look at it sort of mathematically, then maybe it does make sense. But the problem that you have is that my hate just runs too deep. Yeah, that is the problem that we have. Over to the Sun, which says, Star is accused of foul play. Conor McGregor KO'd my parrot. What? What? Yeah, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Anyway, over to the Express, which does cover Dame Esther Rantzen. However, the more interesting thing, I think, on this front page is Hunt's tax cuts in just 10 weeks. I love... It's like an element of trolling there, isn't it? Like, maybe their editor or holiday cover editor is like on our side, maybe because like tax cuts. It's like they're acknowledging that it's like someone somewhere thinks that they're tax cuts, but they're not really. Hunt's tax cuts in just 10 weeks, they say. Of course, they've neglected to mention once again that these tax cuts are inheritance tax. So it will be the richest 5% of the country, largely people who are already millionaires, who will benefit from this recently rehashed, rebriefed, refocused group policy that they just can't let go. And then over to the Mail, taking the baton from the Daily Express with Hunt plan to slash death tax by half. And this is being covered by the Daily Mirror also. Rishi helps the rich get richer. PM's pre-election inheritance tax cut for millionaires in March the 6th budget. And I think I mentioned this yesterday. I don't have it in me to go through inheritance tax again. We've already thrashed this out, debated it. They call it, and the Daily Express call it, a tax cut. We say, it'll only benefit the richest people out there. They say it's immoral, it's an immoral tax. Then we say, well, if you're into immoral taxes, you're going to love VAT because the working classes are disproportionately affected by every raise on VAT. And the whole thing just goes back and forth until the news cycle moves on. And then 2 weeks later, what are we talking about again? Well, I really think we need to look at inheritance tax. Why? You already discussed it and bottled it 5 weeks ago. Finally, to the Eye. Homes bought up for axed HS2 rail line are rented out for millions. Wow, okay. Yeah, I did not see that coming at all. In fact, here is a tweet that I noticed only a few weeks ago when HS2 was first scrapped and people were widely predicting billionaire investors and Tory donors would be the ones to benefit from this. Because here's what they do, right? They launch these compulsory purchase orders. They force you to sell your home if you're on this planned HS2 route. And so after a few years, like the government have accumulated all of this land. Then they axe HS2 and they still got all of the land, but now they've not really got anything to do with it. So they're like, well, we should just sell it. We should just get it off the book. And that cues a fire sale in the Treasury. They're like, yeah, just get rid of it. And then you get these reports of like, $250 million worth of land that's sold off for like $100 million. And guess who gets first dibs? Guess who gets to make the bid and try to buy up the land and redevelop it and turn it into luxury flats? Guess who gets to buy up the property that hadn't yet been demolished for HS2 and then just rent it out at market rates, which are already like double the mortgage? But imagine if you just bought that like mortgage free because you're a millionaire investor. You just buy it and rent it out of the market. You're making a killing. Like imagine if that was you. If that was your family home that you'd lived in for like 20 years, 30 years or something, then you get this note through the post like you have to sell your home. And either, like if you're not right on the HS2 route, so you don't have to sell it to the government, but maybe you do have to just sell it to a buyer who is aware that it's going to be almost right next door to this HS2 thing. And so the value of it is just lower than it ordinarily would have been. So you've lost money. You're outraged by that. Or it is on the HS2 route and the government get to say how much they think your house is worth. Like imagine you're in either one of those situations. Anyway, like basically you've lost out. And then 2 or 3 years down the line, you see on Rightmove, your house, not demolished, no HS2 line. You're not going to benefit from any improved transport infrastructure. No, all of that's out the window. Now you just got Network North improving the tube stations in London. And to add insult to injury, to really rub salt in that wound, you see your old family home on Rightmove up for rent, and it's double the amount that you used to pay for a mortgage. And who owns it now? Oh, it's Lord Barrington Smythe of Quaffshire. Yeah, he got first dibs on it. Yeah, I'm sorry, is that upsetting to you? Well, if you find that upsetting, you will not want to know how little he donated to CCHQ to get first dibs on that, because that is the killer. It's just like, how, he say he's a donor, how much did he write the cheque for? Oh, it was only £10,000, 10 grand to the Conservative Party, and that gets you a seat at the table, and then you just get first dibs to make potentially $100 million or something. Like they're so cheap. That is the thing. That's like if all it costs is 10 grand to get a seat at the table and have that kind of corruption benefit you, you would think their salaries for like £85,000 should buy you some representation, no? Anyway, as always, that's all I've got time for now. If you're not subscribed yet, do consider giving it a little tinkle. And if you watch a lot of these, maybe consider joining the YouTube community. There's a little join button down the bottom of this. Anyway, I'm off for my morning cry. See you later.